like to start with a question. How many anti-counterfeiting approaches do you know? Take a couple of seconds, think about this. How many do you know? We have asked the same question in a survey in 2019. It was an empirical evaluation 3DAG did in Switzerland with people in shopping malls. I will make it interesting. 25% did not know an approach. 16% I think are also quite a valid input that we've heard a couple of times by Christian and by Mark today, that people still trust that. And actually quite upsetting as an industry solution provider, actually offering a lot of the things in the lower 4%, people didn't name it. And this for me means that we, Modom, ProofX, we have a lot of work to still do. We need to bring the awareness to these features. We need to bring the awareness to all the solutions. And now you may think it's kind of fishy that the hologram is quite far up there, but the watermark's up there too. And I question why these two made it to the top 4, and it's quite obvious it comes from the banknote industry. So banknotes were one of the first goods that needed heavy anti-counterfeiting strategies implemented to kind of protect them. Here you see a sample note designed by 3D with a specific hologram stripe. You can see all the different special effects that these holograms on banknotes need to implement. I'm going to take this moment to actually also introduce 3DAG, because the first holographic stripe on the banknote was in 1988 on the Austrian shilling. And this was about the year that 3DAG was founded. We're nanotechnology specialists with over 30 years of experience today. We're based in Bar. We've been featured on over 70 banknotes, protect products worldwide. And we're not just only an optical and functional structure. So a hologram is actually a nanostructure. And we also process functional structures. This goes into the whole new products line, like smart glasses or biomimicking structures, special new display technology. So this is also part of our business. We're going to focus today, though, on holograms, and just a quick review of what I will be presenting. I'm going to bring some more insights of the survey. I'm going to speak about counterfeiting of holograms, because that's quite an important topic as well. The different technologies. Then I'm going to finally come to the interesting part with the new generation holograms and speak about connecting the digital and the physical world. I'm going to start with 2 quotes. So total counterfeiting globally is bound to reach 1.82 trillion USD in 2020. Not only is economic growth at stake, but innovation and investments are suppressed. We are constantly hearing these news about the counterfeiting industry, about the world being in danger due to all these products not being properly traceable, about the consumer not having full insight. And this is a problem, and who is still shocked, because in the survey when we asked if people have ever searched for a security feature, 50% said no. So this is quite a shocking number. This still means 50% of the people are not aware of these issues, or they don't care. Again, we have some work to do. The biggest problem, this is for the manufacturer, because he constantly hears all these problems about the counterfeiting problems, and as a manufacturer, I strongly believe it is your corporate social responsibility to take care of these issues. We can provide the solutions, but you have to want them. You have to do this. It's your job. You are providing goods. But we've heard the difficulties this morning. There are difficulties. They have to analyze the threat. Where is the threat coming from? Where are the counterfeiting is coming from? They have to analyze where they come from before they can choose a solution out of this massive pool of solutions that already exist today. Then they have the whole implementation effort and costs and the whole communication strategy. So after having implemented a solution, people have to know about it. So there's a lot of work that has to be done here. And I can't speak about all the different solutions today. I'm going to focus on holograms, because this is where our core competence is. And let's start with talking about what a hologram conveys. So in the survey, we gave positive and negative associations that people can have with holograms. And the results, gladly, were on the positive association side. To GS1, you see the compliance, so holograms do also issue that. There is a certain compliance products have to have, and holograms can actually assure a certain amount of compliance. Quality is up there, it's higher than expensive, which is also good. Holograms sometimes have the word expensive written behind them, but they are cheaper than many solutions out there. So I'm glad that did not came up well in the survey. But so a positive association, that's the one. And then a very important question we asked: have you ever thought about a hologram being fake? Let's be honest. We hear about this, and I'm addressing this completely honestly because it is an issue. And again, 50-50. Yes and no. Yes, it's a problem, but I think as long as we're aware of it and we find a way around it, I will talk more about this in a second, then we're on the safe side. And when we asked how holograms are made, 88% had no idea. We had a couple of people in there that knew it had something to do with lasers and light. I'm not going to bore you with how they're actually made. If you want to know, please call me. I love talking about it. So it's just a quick thing. It's a nanostructure. Here it acts as a prism. So white light, this is white light, shoots onto this nanostructure and diffracts white light into the rainbow spectral colors. So that's actually why a hologram is so shiny and does all these cool effects. But yeah, please call me. Summary of results. We see the consumers see the hologram. It's eye-catching, it's out there, it talks to you. People want to interact with it. We have positive associations, but we still feel there is kind of a lack of knowledge. And this is where we continued our survey on, is with the lack of knowledge. We designed a very complex hologram with many features, many layers, many different things packed inside it. We made it, and then we made 3 copies. However, we did not make these copies ourselves. We went to Russia, to India, to China, and we tried all the different technologies that kind of exist in the market and are valued today. The big difference is analog and digital. You can compare this very easily with analog and digital photography. Analog photography is an art. It's done in a laboratory, you have chemicals, you need a specialist doing this. Digital photography, it's also an art, but it's a bit easier to reproduce because once you have the file, you can do it again. We have slight imperfections in analog photography and a different procedure. There's both in costs, so the cost isn't the relevant issue here. It all exists. Again, I'm not going to go deeper into these different technologies, but when we did this whole test, these 2 parties, they received all our graphical data, so this was really more a test to see how can the different technologies do different effects, how do they look. We just wanted to analyze this, so we have this, so that we understand it better. And this is very shocking. This guy in China, we gave him no data, we sent him a label, no questions asked, he sent us a counterfeit in 2 weeks. I have the originals here, so if anybody wants to take a look at this after the speech, it's interesting. It was quite a fun exercise to do. And we took it again to the survey onto the street. We gave it to an uneducated consumer and we showed them both. And 97% knew which one was the counterfeit. So this was good, but let's be honest, in real life, you never have a comparison. It's not like you have 2 goods and you can see. You have 1 shot to make an educated decision and to see, is this a counterfeit or not? You have 1 chance. It's a point of sale, or when you're buying something online, it's 1 chance. And the question is, to what extent can we educate a consumer? So how far can we go to teach him how to actually figure out what's a counterfeit or not? We, again, took this on the street, we showed all 4, and we explained specific effects to look for. A switch effect, depth effect, pixels. So all these things, and we just wanted to see if an untrained eye, of not a hologram nerd, but an untrained eye can actually spot an effect. And it was good, it was 85%. I'll be honest, I know they needed some help with the lighting and how to look at it, but it's possible. And I think it's a chance for us to believe that we can empower the consumer. We can trust the consumer to make an educated decision if we educate him. So it's our job as a consumer, as a manufacturer, or as a solution provider to offer the information to understand, to learn. The questions our clients ask us, though, how can we reach the customer? So how can we tell him all about this? And yes, we're in a world of blogs and social media, and we can spread it, but there's more. There's a Generation 2.0 hologram label. Starting with Generation 2.0, you can see there's a hologram on it, but there's more. There's a serial code, there's a data matrix from GS1 performed that we'll look a bit more deeper into this. The hologram is authentication. It's visual authentication. You can look at it, you can compare it. Then I want to quickly go into the different levels of authentication, which in the holography world is quite important, and also not only in holography, but in authentication in general, you have different levels of authentication. So you have first level, unaided eye. What can I see? Second level is you have a little tool. It can be a magnifier, it can be a laser, anything smaller. And then third and fourth level are forensic. It's microscope, forensic, chemical. It goes more into the ink subject. So there's different levels of authentication. The hologram can implement a lot of these, and that's why it's really seen as a good authentication tool. Second step of this Generation 2 is the label as itself being tamper proof. And tamper proof means, I don't know, I'm sure you know it, it means you can see if it has been opened, you can see if it has been tampered with. And last but not least, you have this new talking element. So the hologram used to be still. It didn't have the opportunity to talk, to communicate. And when we ask how can we reach the customer, this is how we can reach the customer. You can scan, you can go to a redirect, you can get to an app, you can go into somewhere, and the manufacturer gains business intelligence. It allows for consumer engagement, it allows for traceability. This is the start. So we see here, we've reached quite a top of the mountain. This is on purpose for Davos. I wanted to bring some mountains and snow into this presentation. But you can see we have the overridden code authentication, we have a tamper-proof solution, we have a secure identifier. This in combination is already a barrier for counterfeiting. And what we also gain is business intelligence. So this also was the first step to create cost into value, right? So I'm not just paying for a solution to protect my product, but I'm getting some kind of data and some kind of intel back that creates value. So we've already switched once cost into value, but we wanted to take it a step further, which is why we are here today. And that question is, why trust us? Why would you trust us? Why would you trust any other solution provider? We talked about it this morning. It is an issue, and it's an issue that blockchain can solve. That's why we're coming to the Generation 4.0, blockchain hologram. Again, we have the physical and visual authentication. Please note, the QR code is printed, so it belongs to the physical object. Same as a part of the serial number. This is the physical part. Then we have it digital and smart, and now we're putting it into the chain. So we're making it immutable through blockchain. We are also making it not a central system, we're decentralizing it. So we're trying to have give everybody access to the data. And we're going to change our mountains a bit. We have a big set of mountains and a lot of paths, and we all have access to them. We've heard a lot about the benefits of blockchain today, but I'm just going to pinpoint it again. It's the immutability, it's the transparency, the traceability, and the enhanced security that we can gain through blockchain. And just as a comparison, we're really spreading it here. I think blockchain allows solutions to think wider, to go bigger, and that's why we see a lot of potential in blockchain in this industry. And it really connects the digital and the physical world. So it kind of puts this digital footprint and connects it to a twin. So through the whole value chain, you can kind of connect it. And the most important of all, again, empower the consumer, empower the manufacturer, give them insight, empower the community. And when we're talking about community, we're talking about ecosystem. So people in here talking today, we all have to provide solutions together, because we have to create this ecosystem. This is our job. It's the manufacturer's job to take up CSR, take this responsibility to have to choose a solution and to find the best for his and the consumer to make an educated choice of what product he wants to buy. With that, thank you very much. I hope to see you on our homepage. This is my contact details. Please feel free to contact me, and yes, I will hand the word back to you.
Thank you, Martina, with 5 minutes to spare. How about that? So, since we have a great lineup of speakers, I guess a lot of interesting content so far. And since we have 5 minutes to spare, I mean, no kidding there. I'd suggest, what about we take a really short break to have a drink and maybe visit the restroom shortly. Will you please promise me that you're back in 5 minutes, all in this room? Let's make a gentleman and gentlewoman agree.